So what I'm going to talk about is Stardog as a company and our relation to description logic research and where we're moving with all this. So Stardog is not really a reasoning company or a database company. It's certainly not a triple store. It's the way we present ourselves these days as a data unification company. So the company is all about unifying all kinds of enterprise data for large enterprise customers. So we are talking not just about relational databases, although that's one of the prime use cases, but also semi-structured like XML, JSON, API REST points, unstructured data, text. And so we help customers to make use of their data, regardless where that data is located and who manages that and in what format. So in our experience, the variety of the data is a bigger problem for more people than actually the size of the data. So just a bit of history. I suspect many of you still remember the company called Clark and Parsia. This is how it started in 2006 when a bunch of smart people graduated from the University of Maryland. Was created by Bijan Parsia, Kendall Clark, Evelyn Siren, and Mike Grove. So you probably remember Pellet, one of the early sound and complete description logic reasoner for the expressive fragments. And the company started as a consultancy around that tool and actually lived off Pellet for like 4 years being profitable. In 2010, we started a database product because we realized the world is different. There's more data than ontologies, and people want to handle more data than we can process in memory using technologies from 2010. And that's how Stardog started. It was released 2011. And that's when I joined. So I conveniently finished my PhD around that time. And yeah, my postdoc didn't go through. So that was all good. Well, then we kept selling licenses for some time. It was still a small company until in 2016, we made the principal decision to go for venture funding. And this is where companies started growing. And with increasing focus on data unification and not the specific technologies which we use. So this is something which Diego talked about a lot. And now we are like 60 people, about half engineering, half sales, marketing, and consultants. So that's a big change from like 3 people in the basement. So what's data unification platform? So essentially in Stardog case, it has 3 components. Graph as a data model in query language, which we believe is the most flexible today to express the data which people want to manage. It's reasoning and virtualization. So the world we live in as a company is we increasingly find most of the data being sort of a legacy data managed in places people don't want to touch. And we certainly cannot force our customers to move the data into Stardog if we view Stardog as a database. It was possible 6-7 years ago, but not anymore for all sorts of reasons, mostly non-technical reasons. So Stardog usually works with, like the way it's deployed right now, most of the data is accessed through technologies like R2RML. And reasoning is key to handle the schema heterogeneity issue. All the schemas are different. Some schemas are copies of other schemas. Some are like exact copies, except of not quite. Sometimes people don't even know what the differences are. So a part of our mission is to prevent people from copying data and copying schemas, because that usually makes things a lot more easier in the long term. Since we are a description logic workshop, I guess I need to talk a little bit about the reasoning component, even though I must say I'm not a reasoning engineer anymore. So I'm not even responsible for this part of the system. And if you're gonna ask me about some crazy DL acronym, ALC something, I'm not even gonna be capable of answering any of those. But on a high level, what Stardog does for reasoning is query writing, which is, I guess, similar to OnTop. That is very important decision for us because it allows us to handle query answering with respect to reasoning over virtual graphs. For expressivity, we cover QL plus extensions. For example, the restricted forms of recursion. If you want more technical details about that, we can talk later in the channel. We use the rules a lot. Most of our customers vastly prefer rules to OWL axioms. That became true at some point, and we have to, whether or not we like it, it's just the case. Then queries are rewritten into extend the Sparkle syntax and evaluated over native data and virtual data. And the company is moving away from expressive DL reasoning. I struggled a little bit with this bullet. Wasn't sure if I should talk about that, but it's also true that that decision has also been made. It will probably be removed from Stardog in the future version, or sooner rather than later. Architecturally speaking, Stardog is has some sort of hierarchical structure. It has a query engine. This is what my group is responsible for, which is responsible for generating queries over virtual graphs or running queries against RDF data inside Stardog. We support natural extraction of data from natural language documents, which goes into the native data, and we run queries over other data sources which implement their own query languages. The last thing I want to say that we launched something called Stardog Labs quite recently, and this is also something which I overlook quite closely. It's a place for collaboration with academia. We are happy to offer free academic licenses and also a platform for like prototyping, technical support for that, guest blog posts by researchers who maybe want to try some new cool idea. And if you have some experimental data lock engine and you need a backend for that, talk to us, talk to me. We already published one blog post by Bram from University of Ghent on stream reasoning, very cool stuff. We'll do marketing around that. So I'm looking forward to collaborating with many of you. That's part of my job. So that's all. Thanks a lot.